When I caught my stepfather, the man I trusted, in a lie, I felt my whole world shatter. But his chilling smile when he confessed and what he said next was the most brutal part. You ever feel like the universe has a sick sense of humor? Like you're just a pawn in some twisted game of cosmic chess? That's what it felt like after my parents' 2-decade-long marriage ended in a bitter, messy divorce. The air in our home, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch in suburban Ohio, had been thick with tension for as long as I could remember. My dad, a man who could turn every word into a weapon, had finally moved out, leaving us with a suffocating silence. It was a blank slate, but one covered in emotional wreckage. Then came Marcus. He was a former military guy, discharged under murky circumstances, a walking red flag waving in the wind. But my mom, bless her heart, was so desperately in need of a fresh start. Marcus made her laugh, a genuine, full-throated laugh she hadn't made in years. And honestly, that was enough for us. He moved in, and for a while, everything felt normal. We even bonded over classic rock albums and bad horror movies. We were all so desperate for a fresh start that we chose to ignore the shadows lurking just behind his smile. If you've ever felt that desperation for a new beginning, that hope that blinds you to all the warning signs, drop a like and let me know. My mom, bless her heart, had found a new kind of calm with Marcus. The tense, suffocating air that had filled our house for 2 decades was finally gone. He treated her like a queen, or at least that's what we all thought. The 3 of us kids, my sister Willow, my brother Caleb, and I, all started to see him as a father figure. He was good with a wrench and better at a grill, a classic all-American guy who'd watch football on a Sunday afternoon with a beer in his hand. He even taught me how to change the oil in my old hand-me-down Ford Focus, something my biological father never had the patience for. We were a family again. A real, bona fide family. We took family trips to national parks, we celebrated holidays together, and for a short time, the broken pieces of our lives felt like they were finally fitting back together. But you know how they say the calm before the storm is the most deceptive? That peace we were living in. It was a house of cards, and the wind was just starting to pick up. For anyone who's ever felt like a fresh start was too good to be true, I want you to comment a lightning bolt emoji. Let's see how many of us have been there. The first crack in the facade appeared without warning. Marcus had to go for what he called routine probation check-ins. He'd served a short stint for a DUI a few years back, and while we'd accepted it as a mistake he'd paid for, it was always a small, lingering question mark. One Tuesday, he left for his appointment in the morning, and by nightfall, he still hadn't returned. My mom tried calling, texting nothing. My brother Caleb and I started driving around the neighborhood, then the whole town, hearts pounding with a dread we couldn't name. Hours turned into a panicked search. Then, the phone rang. It was a lawyer in Texas. They told my mom Marcus had been picked up by federal marshals. The explanation was like something out of a crime novel. He'd been linked to a drug trafficking ring through a distant relative. The DUI he'd served time for? It was just the tip of a much larger, darker iceberg. He'd cut a deal to testify, but his disappearance, his silence, it all felt like a cold, calculated betrayal. The man we had invited into our home, the man who'd promised us a new life, had been living on borrowed time, a house of secrets built on shaky ground. And we were about to feel the tremors. When Marcus finally returned, it wasn't with apologies or remorse, but with a new, unsettling cloud of darkness. His case was in the legal system, a tangled web of federal witnesses and court dates. He was back at his job managing a local ice cream shop, thanks to a boss who believed in second chances. But that brief reprieve was an illusion. The drinking started quietly, at first a beer here, a few more there. Soon, it escalated to a 6-pack a day, then a full 24-pack. The man who had once been so calm and composed now seemed to be in a constant state of raw, simmering rage. He'd come home drunk, and the cruel, cutting words would fly, aimed mostly at my mom. She'd make excuses for him, saying the stress of the trial and the constant surveillance from federal agents was getting to him. But Caleb, Willow, and I knew it was more than that. We were living with a ghost of the man we once knew, haunted by his anger and the ever-present smell of stale alcohol. It was a pressure cooker, and we were all just waiting for it to explode. The tension was so thick you could slice it with a knife. If you've ever had to live with someone's escalating anger, I want you to share your experience in the comments. We're all in this together. The final straw came one night in the dead of winter. The wind was howling outside, mirroring the storm that was about to break inside. Marcus stumbled through the door, reeking of cheap whiskey, and his eyes glazed over with a familiar rage. My mom, her face a mask of tired determination, stood her ground and confronted him. There was no screaming, no shouting, just a chillingly calm exchange of words. "Are you drunk again, Marcus?" she asked, her voice steady. He didn't deny it. He didn't even try to lie. He just stared at her with a venomous smirk, as if daring her to do something about it. In that moment, a switch flipped inside my mom. The fear and exhaustion that had held her captive for months melted away, replaced by a steely resolve I hadn't seen in a very long time. She looked him in the eye and said, "Then get out." Just 2 words. But they were a grenade thrown into the fragile peace we had so painstakingly built. He laughed, a short, bitter sound, and turned to leave. As he walked out the door, I thought that was it. The nightmare was over. The house would finally be ours again, free from the shadow he cast. But I was so wrong. The next morning, the house felt eerily quiet, the air crisp with the promise of a new beginning. We were a family again, just the 3 of us kids and my mom, starting to gather ourselves. As my mom began collecting some of Marcus's belongings to put in a box, a knock came at the door. It was a woman I recognized from his ice cream shop, a coworker named Brenda. She looked pale, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and sympathy. She sat down at our kitchen table, her hands trembling as she began to speak. What she said next was a punch to the gut. Brenda revealed that Marcus hadn't just been drinking and angry, he'd been living a double life. He was cheating on my mom with another woman, a single mom in her late 30s named Darlene. The worst part? Darlene was pregnant. The air in our kitchen turned to ice. The man who had acted like a caring father figure, who'd sat with us on the couch watching movies, had been building a second life, a secret family. And it got worse. Brenda confessed that Marcus had been engaging in lewd acts with Darlene right there at his workplace, threatening Brenda and other employees to keep quiet. The quiet, peaceful house we had woken up to just minutes ago was now a ticking time bomb of rage and betrayal. The silence that followed Brenda's revelation was deafening. My mother, who had just spent months rebuilding her emotional fortress, looked like her entire world had been shattered all over again. Her face, once a picture of calm determination, was now pale and drained of all color. The 3 of us kids just sat there, stunned. The betrayal was one thing, but the sheer arrogance of his actions, the public nature of his cheating, the fact that he was so close to starting a new, secret family, it was infuriating. Then, my mother's resolve returned. She stood up, her jaw set, and her voice was a low, dangerous rumble. "Sloane, Caleb, Willow, I want you to go outside. Get every single thing of his and put it in the alley. Every last shirt, every single DVD, every tool in the garage." We didn't even question it. We moved with a shared, silent fury, piling his life into a heap behind our house. The sense of power as we threw each item out felt like a cleansing ritual. He had no home, no rights, nothing. Just a pile of junk in a back alley. If you've ever felt that righteous anger, that need to reclaim your space after a betrayal, I want you to leave a justice emoji in the comments. Chris eventually came back, but not before we'd made sure his belongings were a tangled mess of clothes, tools, and personal effects scattered in the alleyway. He stood there, looking at the pile of his life, a chilling smirk still plastered on his face. He didn't deny anything. He confessed it all: the cheating, the pregnancy, the double life. He said he was happy about the baby, as if he'd won some grand prize, and not lost his family. His refusal to apologize, to show any shred of remorse, was the final confirmation that we had made the right decision. My mom, still calm, told him to collect his things. But she made it clear it had to be with a police officer present. He agreed and left. But for my siblings and me, the story wasn't over. My mom wanted closure, but we wanted justice. The kind of brutal, beautiful justice that only comes when you take back what was stolen from you. It was time to show him that his actions had consequences. We had a plan. A blueprint for payback. The first domino was about to fall. Our campaign for justice began with a simple phone call. We knew Marcus's boss at the ice cream shop was a family friend, a kind-hearted man who'd given Marcus a second chance. My mom called him, her voice a mix of hurt and unwavering resolve. She told him everything. The cheating, the pregnancy, the lewd acts performed on his property, all confirmed by Brenda. The owner was devastated. He couldn't believe the man he had trusted to manage his store, the man he had vouched for, could be capable of such deceit. The next day, Marcus was fired. Not only that, but he was blacklisted from every franchise in a 50-mile radius. It was the first sweet taste of victory. Brenda was promoted to manager, and within weeks, she turned the shop around, cleaning up the mess he'd left behind, both literally and figuratively. It was more than just a job loss. It was a public shaming. It was a message that his actions had been exposed. If you're watching this and you've ever had to stand up to someone who hurt you, I want you to comment, "I fought back to show your strength." Chris, now with no job and nowhere to go, was forced to move in with Darla, about an hour's drive from our home. We thought that would be the end of it. He was gone, out of our lives. But we underestimated his arrogance. He quickly found a new job managing another ice cream shop, this time in a small town called Millbrook. We got wind of it through a family friend who had a cousin working there. My mom called the new owner, calmly but firmly explaining the situation and providing the evidence we had gathered, the police report from the incident, the court documents, everything. It took longer this time. The owner was hesitant, reluctant to fire someone based on hearsay. But my mom was persistent. She laid out the facts, explaining how Marcus was a liability, a walking time bomb. Eventually, after a few weeks of back and forth, he got the call. Fired again. It was the second domino to fall, the second taste of victory. We were playing a long game, a relentless hunt, and he had no idea he was the prey. He thought he could just move on and start over, but we were a constant, silent force, ensuring he would never find peace. Losing a second job so quickly must have broken something in him, because that's when his behavior escalated from pathetic to dangerous. He started driving around our neighborhood again, at all hours of the day and night. The sight of Darla's red Ford Escort slowly cruising down our street, past our house, filled us with a primal fear. We knew he was out there, watching us. It was a form of psychological warfare. What he didn't realize, what he was too drunk or arrogant to remember, was that his driver's license had never been reinstated after his original DUI arrest. He was driving illegally, every single time. It was a simple detail, but one we knew could be his undoing. So we started calling the police every time we saw the car. We didn't make a big scene, we just calmly reported a reckless driver in a red Escort. We had a plan, and we were patient. We knew it was only a matter of time before he made a mistake. And he did. If you've ever had to fight for your safety and peace of mind, I want you to leave a number 1 in the comments. Let's show him he's not alone. Weeks turned into a month. The police took our calls seriously, knowing we were a family that had been harassed before. They started monitoring the area, discreetly tracking Darla's red Ford. One night, a cruiser spotted the car weaving dangerously on a back road near our subdivision. They pulled him over. And just as we had predicted, he was drunk. He didn't have a license, and the officer's body cam confirmed his slurred speech and belligerent behavior. That was it. He was arrested on the spot for driving under the influence and driving with a suspended license. The charges were non-negotiable. He was taken straight to the county lockup. The phone call from the police department felt like a movie scene. The officer on the other end said he was being held without bail due to his previous record and the multiple police reports from our family. But the cherry on top came when they conducted a routine search of Darla's home as part of a warrant related to the arrest. They found an unlicensed handgun under the mattress. As a convicted felon, possessing a firearm was a major felony. More jail time. It was the third domino, and this one didn't just fall, it hit the ground with the force of an earthquake. The layers of his life were peeling back, revealing a rotten core. With his new felony conviction for gun possession, he was facing serious prison time. By the time he was a few months into his sentence, the federal government was ready for him. His time in Ohio was over. The judge ordered him to be extradited back to Texas to face charges for his involvement in the drug ring. His son with Darla was born while he was behind bars. The man who had been so happy about the pregnancy never even got to hold his child outside of a visitation room. Darla, faced with the reality of a deadbeat dad behind bars and a man who had lied to her about everything, finally saw him for what he was. She cut off all ties, changed her number, and moved away. He had lost everything he thought he could take from us: our home, our peace, our sense of safety. But now, he had lost his job, his freedom, and the very future he had built on a foundation of lies. If you believe that karma always comes back around, no matter how long it takes, comment with a fire emoji. I want you to picture this. Every morning, waking up knowing the man who hurt your family, who invaded your life, could have been a free man, yet there he was, sitting in a cell, a puppet to his own poor choices. The tension, the frustration, the feeling of powerlessness, it's suffocating. When we executed our revenge, the satisfaction wasn't just in seeing him lose jobs or go to jail. It was in reclaiming control, the relief, the adrenaline, the sweet, sweet justice. We weren't just a family anymore. We were a force of nature, a slow, methodical, relentless force. Marcus had no job, no home, no freedom. He had lost everything he thought he could take from us. Letters pleading for forgiveness? Burned. Calls? Ignored. We watched from the sidelines, hearts pounding, as karma's slow but relentless did its work. By the time he resurfaced years later in Kansas, he was a shell of the man who'd thought he could manipulate, cheat, and intimidate. We heard he was working a low-wage job and living in a tiny apartment. He was a ghost of his former self, a man broken by his own choices. Meanwhile, my mom found a loving partner, my siblings and I moved on, and I continued helping my mom renovate our new home, finally feeling safe, finally victorious. Sometimes, life doesn't give you closure. Sometimes, justice isn't instant. But when the wrongdoer underestimates you, when they hurt the ones you love, patience, planning, and persistence can be the most potent tools in your arsenal. We didn't just survive, we thrived. We took our power back, one relentless step at a time, and it was the most liberating feeling in the world. This isn't just a story about revenge. It's a story about finding your voice and reclaiming your power. It's about understanding that you are not a victim of your circumstances, but a creator of your destiny. My mom could have let Marcus's betrayal destroy her, but instead, she chose to fight. She chose to stand up for her family, to be the shield and the sword we all needed. And in doing so, she taught us the most valuable lesson of all: that you have the right to demand respect, to protect your boundaries, and to create a life of peace and security, free from the toxic influence of others. Life will throw curveballs at you, people will hurt you, and it will feel like the world is against you. But remember this: you have the power to write the next chapter. You have the courage to stand up and say, "Not anymore." You have the strength to build your own kind of justice. If this story has resonated with you and you believe in the power of reclaiming your narrative, hit that subscribe button and join our community. Let's continue writing our stories of resilience together.